Hey guys, thanks for coming to Comic Book University. I'm Professor Bill. Let's get started. We're going to talk about Clone Conspiracy #1. This is a Spider-Man series. Now, anybody who lived through the 90s, in a comic book sense, you know that one of the worst things to happen to Spider-Man was the clone conspiracy, the whole clone thing with the jackal coming in and all this crazy, nonsensical stuff. Now, you hear about this stuff today, right? Well, it's really a different story when you read it yourself. Going back and reading it or having experienced it and recalling, it was actually entertaining. It was fun. It was good. The problem is that it just simply went too long. Well, Dan Slott has started the Clone Conspiracy, and it's going to be a 6-issue run. Now, I'm telling you right now, the only reason why I'm even remotely interested in this is because of Dan Slott. Now, make no mistake, make no compunctions about this. I'm still scared because this could go out of hand and we'll have clones all over the place. And wait, who was the real clone? Who was the real Peter Parker? Oh, and stuff that just gets really crazy. I don't want any crazy retcons like that. But anyway, I'm here because of Dan Slott. My absolute favorite version of Spider-Man is right up there, Superior Spider-Man. Yep, right above my finger. There we go. We're starting off with major controversy. The father of Old Man J. Jonah Jameson has died. His father's dead. Mind you, if you haven't been following Spider-Man, this is also May Parker's new husband. Right? Like, she remarried after Ben died. Uncle Ben died. She remarried, and she married J. Jonah Jameson's father. He was actually a really good guy. He was kind of like a really good surrogate father to Peter, who'd already grown up, but was missing that aspect in his life. And he kind of served a good portion of that. And they were really close. Now, J. Jonah Jameson, being J. Jonah Jameson, comes up and accuses Peter of being at fault for his father's death, for J. Jonah Jameson's father's death. Look, follow along, all right? So he's saying it's Peter's fault because, fact, Peter did talk him out of getting this revolutionary surgery that could have saved him. Not even a surgery, a treatment that could have saved him from New You Corporation Industries. Now, Anna Marie Marconi is a character who came into prevalence during the Superior Spider-Man run. She's a short person, and Dr. Octopus, Otto Octavius, actually wound up falling in love with her while he was in Peter's body. Led to some really strange things. Peter wound up finally being completely forthcoming with her and explaining everything. Look, I'm actually Spider-Man, but I'm really Peter Parker, and Otto was the guy, and all this crazy stuff. Now, she comes up to help Peter because after that incident at the funeral with J. Jonah Jameson, Jolly J. Jonah Jameson, he blamed Peter, and Peter doesn't need blame. He doesn't need anybody to blame him because guilt is like his big driving factor, or it's his stomping factor. It's what weighs him down all the time. Like, the guy's so guilt-ridden over everything. Everybody likes to say, oh yeah, the Catholic daredevil, he's so guilt-ridden. Yeah, sometimes, off of some things. No, Peter's guilty off of anything. If you gave him a news report that an ant got ran over 2 blocks away from him, he would find out that it was his fault. Some way, somehow. He'd connect the dots, conspiracy theory, it's his fault, right? Well, now it's a clone conspiracy. It's obviously Peter's fault. Now, Peter lays down the logic why he didn't help out J. Jonah Jameson Sr. Because he just got finished helping out someone else instead a little bit faster through the New You tech who was dying of a similar thing. Jerry Saltires. Maybe it's Saltires. I don't know. I'm reading it. Nobody's actually saying it to me. So, yeah, probably Saltires. He got this treatment. He was actually a really good guy. Peter chose to help this family out. And as soon as he touched him, I think he shook his hand. I'm trying to remember way back when that issue happened. He shook his hand and his spider sense, boom, off the scales. So from that point on, he's like, okay, you know what? I've got to talk Jay out of this treatment because no, we'll find another way. And they didn't find another way in time, so he died. Well, Anna, being the logical one, says, well, clearly you've got to start off by going and visiting Saltires. Start from the beginning, right? So they both go over to visit Saltires' wife, and she says that, oh, well, Jerry's not here, sorry, and gives the explanation after some prompting, mostly by Anna, that, hey, listen, they showed up and they had a big problem with something and took him and cleaned out the entire place, wiped everything down, erased all my footage and everything. Got a web watch. They actually call it web watch. Anyway, so they took that and they even wiped everything off before they give it back to her. Well, Peter's the one who designed this technology, so he simply went into basically a ghost file and found the video that she took of the camping trip that they went on where Jerry had forgotten his medicine. He starts to change and something really weird starts to happen. It seems like his skin is actually coming off and, oh yeah, freaky man. So all sorts of antics wind up ensuing, and I'm going to leave it with the idea that New You wants to, as they say, get into bed with Parker Industries in the worst way. They want some kind of a partnership, some kind of a merger, something. They want to be united with Parker Industries. So Peter says, listen, clearly these guys would do anything to, marry me to the idea of partnering up with them. So I'm sure that if Peter Parker asked for, this is Parker talking, mind you, that if I, as Peter Parker, were to ask them for some kind of interview or some kind of a tour of the facilities, they would absolutely say yes. But as Spider-Man, I technically have the preamble to the invitation anyway because I am Peter Parker, and, I'm just going to break into the place and cut through all the red tape and save people a lot of time. Yeah, king of rationale, right? Well, it's cool, it's funny, and he goes in there, and yes, he does find Jerry Saltires, and he also finds clones. He also finds a couple of bad guys from the old Sinister Six with a little change to one of them that's a little freaky, and all sorts of antics ensue. And this is not a spoiler. This is kind of a spoiler, but it's not necessarily a spoiler. You know what? It's a helpful thing because Gwen Stacy is there. What? Yeah, Gwen Stacy's there. Not Spider-Gwen, not Gwenpool, actual Gwen Stacy, whose last memory was being killed by the Green Goblin way back at the very death crutch of the Silver Age of comics. And yeah, that's where the story ends. There is a part 2 to the story, kind of like a prequel, how Gwen Stacy came back in a sense, and that's a really good explanation there. It leaves you wanting more. By all means, please go and check that out so you'll get the idea. It's also not spoilers to say that they've already released that Uncle Ben is actually going to come back. I know, he's the one guy. What they always say, Uncle Ben and Bucky and somebody else, there's not allowed to come back. I think it was somebody from DC. Anyway, whatever it is, 2 of those people have already come back, but now... Now, apparently, Uncle Ben is supposed to come back, and clearly as a clone, but is there more to it? I think that there is, because the Jackal is actually there. He's actually a part of this, and that's a huge, huge thing. Miles Warren is his real name. It doesn't actually say in there that he was the Jackal immediately. Later on, it does. So... you have to kind of follow along with that. But guys, this is a really good first start to this clone conspiracy. Hopefully it doesn't go on for too long, or at least however long it is supposed to go on for, as long as there's one person in charge of this and we don't have editorial teams coming down and saying, oh, you have to make this go longer. Oh, and you have to make this tie in with this story. Oh, and you have to do such and such and such. Okay, how about this? How about you go back to editorial and I'll stay here and actually do my job. So... guys, this is really shaping up to be good. I'm going to give this a 3.5 because it does leave you with a lot of questions that could go, honestly, either way. Either way. So it could be a double, it could be a single, but we'll have to see. So guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, class dismissed.